Look, if I've never changed your diapers, you don't get to call me Dad.
I knew that I wasn't going to be getting an early review code for Astral Chain, and I knew I was going to want to take my time and enjoy it, so I thought I'd try something a little different to just a straight review. After each lengthy play session, I wrote down some notes and thoughts. I figured it would be interesting to see how my opinion changed over time, especially in a game like this that takes a while to get the hang of. I'll finish the video off with a sort of mini review summary and give my final impressions. But now let's move on to day one. Well, I suck at the combat so far. It defaults to a casual difficulty for the first file. Files are essentially chapters. The casual difficulty doesn't have a ranking system, but I switched it over to the standard difficulty as soon as it gave me the option. Investigation missions are easy S+ ranks, but I clearly need to get a better feel for combat. Sometimes I'm getting an A or even an S, and other times I'm getting a D. Just getting a basic feel for the controls seems like it'll take a while to settle in. It's completely different from anything I can remember playing. You are essentially controlling two characters at the same time, most of the time. There's you, who can attack with either a melee weapon or gun, as well as dodge, and then there's your Legion, which you can summon, recall, send out to attack, or let it attack on its own. So the combat is a bit iffy for me right now, but I'm already all in on this story, the world, and the characters. It's just one of those games where you sit back and think, who came up with this and how did they come up with this? It feels so incredibly unique. It's chock full of lore. The rules of this universe are so consistent and bizarre, and the most creative aspects are woven into every inch of the game. The reason you're controlling two characters in combat is a wild story in and of itself. To cut a long summary short, beings called chimeras invaded Earth. They come from the astral plane and invade through astral gates, which act as a passage between our two dimensions, or sometimes it looks like they can just create holes or tears between our dimensions. This alone, not that unique of a concept, but the game begins at a time where most of Earth has already been devoured, and scientists, in a bid to fight back against the chimeras and save humanity, have been working on a way to tame and take control of said chimeras. Through the use of a legatus, a specifically attuned individual can leash a chimera, creating what they call a legion. The leash isn't just metaphorical though. The astral chain is a constant link between the user and their legion, and it's a real, tangible physical object. You and your legion can only be so far apart. It's possible for you to pull your legion back to you, or to get your legion to pull you to it, and manipulating the chain around an enemy ties them up. Then you've got the whole authoritative hierarchy in this post-apocalyptic world, and how the term police has been adapted to label the various agencies, which are much more like the military or specialized strike teams. There's a rich foundation here that I can't wait to delve deeper into. I didn't get to play much today, but I was quite surprised by how much better the combat felt after having a sleep and coming back to it with a slightly different mindset. I kept reminding myself that the right analog stick was mostly for controlling the Legion, rather than my constant habit in every other game of slightly adjusting the camera, which you also still do with the right analog stick when not directly controlling the Legion. I was having real difficulty the day before pulling off things like binding enemies and countering charge downs by stretching the chain across their charge path, but that all seems so easy now. The combat seems like it's just clicked for me all of a sudden, and it feels great. Zipping across the battlefield using my Legion and comboing sync attacks is satisfying as hell. I didn't think it would be possible to feel like such a badass when most of your power comes from something else that you keep on a glorified leash. I'll tell you one thing, either I'm nearly finished this game, or all the talk about this only being a 20-hour game was way off, because I'm already at over 17 hours partway through file 6. And yep, it looks like there are at least 11 files, so I have no idea how anybody resisted the urge to do any of the side content and just rush the story to finish it in such a short time. There is so much side content in this game, and I love all of it. Each file has sub-chapters of its own. You'll usually start off at the headquarters headquarters where you can buy and sell items, upgrade your weapon, which actually now has a third weapon type. You can switch it between baton, sword, and gun, which functions as a light attack, heavy attack, and ranged attack respectively. There are also usually a few side cases to do here as well. Then you'll head out on location for a main case, but part of the fun is trying to track down all of the side cases and hidden items before moving forward with the main case. As you're walking around, you might happen upon a bomb that you need to defuse, or maybe somebody's child has gone missing. There is actually a ton of variety in the side cases. I had to bring a sad girl some ice cream, which was actually a balancing minigame that I failed horribly at. I bought a 10 scoop monster but only had 1 scoop left by the time I made it to the girl. The good news is that there are 2 different kinds of cases, red cases and blue cases. This one was a blue case, which means that you aren't given a rank for it, whereas red cases, which include both main cases and optional cases, are ranked and have a major effect on the rank you're given for the complete file. Combat is feeling just as good as ever. I've unlocked some different legions through the main story, but I've mostly been sticking with the one you start out with, the Sword Legion. The Arrow Legion only seems useful against flying enemies, and maybe not even then compared to my significantly more upgraded Sword Legion. I've got all 5 legions. I am so intrigued by the story because I honestly have no idea where it's going, and I'm obsessed with scouring every inch of every location so I don't miss each file's cat and toilet. Yeah, I haven't actually mentioned those yet, but some of the hidden things you're looking for in each file are a cat and a toilet. Each file has one of each. You rescue the cat, which gets added to a special cat safe house, and you use the toilet, which awards you with a unique toilet paper item. You need to give the toilet paper to the toilet fairy back at HQ. There are a bunch of other secrets and objectives too. Special hideouts hidden by hologram walls are especially tricky to find if you don't pay attention to NPCs. And something I haven't talked about yet is the orders system, which are like achievements that grant bonus items. There's a whole sub-list of orders that involves taking very specific pictures with the camera, which keeps you on your toes during the investigation sections. The story is really enjoyable. I don't think it's anything too groundbreaking in terms of the beats it's hitting, and although I said I have no idea where it's going, I can see at least one of the major twists from a mile away. But in terms of the ins and outs of this universe, the mechanics and lore of it all, and what the motivations, consequences, and origins are for the major twist, I have no idea. Way back on day 1, I talked about how unique and creative the narrative and the world are, and it's just so in-depth. There's tons of history, tons of lore. I absolutely love it. This is a feeling I haven't had in quite some time. I know that Astral Chain is technically classified as an action game or an action adventure, but it's not. This is an action RPG if I ever saw one, and a damn good one at that. The world is swimming in lore. The narrative is classic JRPG in that so much creativity has gone into crafting so much of this universe's backstory, elements, mechanics, and rules. Not to mention the insane amount of side content, the character building, the mini-games. I'll come right out and say it. Astral Chain is currently my game of the year. There are so many things I haven't even touched on that blew me away just like everything else. The music, the sound design. There are so many good tracks. The charm and character is something else Astral Chain has in spades. Even the vending machines have personality, and unlike a lot of complaints I've been seeing, I actually mostly enjoy the platforming. There are a few instances where it is finicky. It could certainly use some tweaks to make collision more logical, but overall I thought it added yet another cool aspect. The closest thing I have to a complaint is the forced stealth section. I hate stealth in games where it's not a central focus. There are multiple stealth sections in Astral Chain, but thankfully only one of them forces you to stealth, if I'm remembering correctly. Though stealth may have been quicker than fighting my way through the other ones, which might be essential if you want to get an S+ rank for the associated red cases. Replayability is off the charts. Finishing the main story sends you to an epilogue postgame file where you can take on tough challenges or replay any of the previous files starting from any of their subchapters on any difficulty. Completing a file on standard difficulty unlocks ultimate difficulty for that file, so you can try your hand at that or simply go back to complete side cases that you didn't have access to before because you didn't have all the legions, or find all the secrets you missed. I've probably forgotten a bunch of other great things like the puzzle sections, which I found to be pretty straightforward most of the time, but with the added challenge of there being multiple ways to solve them. Sometimes solving a puzzle a specific way will uncover a hidden chest or item. And this is where I should probably stop gushing. If it wasn't already very obvious, yes, I recommend this game. Play it, support it, just go get it please. I really want a sequel or prequel or follow-up, or just give me more Astral Chain. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.
Thanks for the liking, subscribing, and the sharing!